So this won't be a predictions video, or not exactly in any case. We'll be doing a lot more of that as we work our way up to E3 along the next couple of weeks. What we'll be talking about is actually a good bit more concrete, and instead we'll be seeing all the puzzle pieces that'll fit together to show us that this is lining up to be Nintendo Switch's best E3 yet. Let's talk about it. So as I said, this won't be purely speculation, but rather taking a look at what all fits together to make this E3 look so great. But of course, anytime we talk about the future, there's a little speculation involved no matter what. So here's hoping Nintendo lives up to even some of the potential that we'll flesh out here in this conversation. Ultimately, I think there are 4 factors that come together to give me some very high hopes. Truthfully, this is by far the biggest wild card. Nintendo is by no means the only company at E3, even if they are my favorite, and the third-party situation could be one of many things. But even before talking about what they will do, let's see what they have to learn from. There's no argument that third-party developers have been burned on Nintendo consoles on titles that weren't tailor-made for their audiences for several generations. Even the Wii U's launch year saw a number of Western third-party mature and blockbuster franchises, and we all know how that went. At the Switch's launch, third parties were not in the wrong for being hesitant to come over. But here we are just over 2 years into the Switch's lifespan, and it's been selling on pace with some of the fastest selling home consoles. But not only that, also its software has been selling great. Even third parties. Last year at E3, we saw that Doom Eternal and Dragon Ball FighterZ were coming to the Switch, as well as FIFA 19 and some other givens. It was a bit disappointing that we didn't get much more than that announced, but here's some reasons why I think this year may be a different story. Firstly, the sales of the console. Of course, as we said, even the Wii sold a ton of units, but didn't move all that many third-party games that weren't aimed at casuals. But that's the thing. If nothing else, we can expect that the third parties will finally have had some time to catch up to the cycle and announce games that were tailor-made for the Nintendo Switch audience, like Square Enix and Octopath Traveler, or Ubisoft and Mario Plus Rabbids, or something like Capcom with a new Switch-focused Monster Hunter. Like I said, I'm not going to go into detail right now, but do stick around with the channel for more predictions. And also subscribe to Directly to You, our podcast, so that you can hear us talk about that stuff there as well. The second aspect of third parties that's encouraging is the success of other third parties on the Switch. Most recently, April had a surprise when Mortal Kombat 11 was the top-selling game in the US on every single platform, including Switch, which is the first time a third-party M-rated game topped all platform charts for a month since 2004. We've been also getting a lot of ports and remasters on the Switch, which aren't as awesome as full-on new games, but serve as both a testing ground for publishers, as well as an entry point for Nintendo-only gamers or lapsed gamers on those franchises, often at a lower cost. Ubisoft actually sent me a copy of Assassin's Creed 3, which came out last week, and it's the first game in the Assassin's Creed series that I've had the opportunity to play. After having played it, this game is a great example, in my opinion, of developers testing out a franchise on the Switch audience, or even just catching us up ahead of an impending future entry that they know about that we don't. The game is old enough to warrant a remaster, but not a remake, and in my opinion does a fairly solid job, at least to the untrained eye. The game includes Switch-specific features like HD rumble, touch controls, and has gyro aiming, and the gameplay doesn't feel dated and is currently one of the few of its kind on Switch, a stealth and story-based action-adventure with unique combat and quite fun platforming. For what it's worth, I'm really enjoying it. But will we see another Assassin's Creed on Switch? Well, that brings us to our third and final point on third parties. This much is a rumor and also speculative, but can certainly leave us excited for E3. It seems fairly likely that we will see how the Switch will interact with Microsoft's streaming service, xCloud, in just a few weeks, and that is incredibly exciting. Essentially, that means that any games that had just no chance of being ported to the Switch in the first place now have a chance to come over to the Switch. I know it's not everyone's favorite for reasons of ownership or internet connection or really anything else, but it's some exciting opportunities nevertheless. Essentially, we'd have the benefit of just all the games. But as Nintendo fans, I know these aren't the games that you really want to know about. What you're most interested in is... Nintendo often lives and dies by their first-party titles and exclusives. Nothing will get you to buy a Nintendo console faster than a Mario, a Zelda, or a Pokemon. And guess what this Direct will have? All three. In this Direct, we know that we are liable to get information on games including Super Mario Maker 2 and Pokemon Sword and Shield. And they don't even have to spend that much time on those because we just had a Mario Maker Direct, and then we're having a Pokemon Direct like next week. So that'll give us even more time to spend on everything else. We'll also likely get information on Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, Fire Emblem Three Houses, Astral Chains, Daemon X Machina, Luigi's Mansion, Town, Link's Awakening, and the bane of the Twitter comment section, Animal Crossing. All of which are first parties or exclusives for the Nintendo Switch. On their own, those games would make a stunning Direct and will be awesome to get new information on, but it's just about a certainty that we'll get one or two other first party surprises beyond those. That could be a trailer for Bayonetta 3, or a teaser for Metroid Prime 4, or complete surprises like Retro's Project or Pikmin. However, I will warn you that we're gonna get at least one, maybe two announcements that are gonna look really awesome, like new games or whatever, but they'll be Smash DLC. So just be prepared for that. It's gonna happen. That can sometimes be disappointing, but I hope they do it like they did with Isabelle, where Smash fans and Animal Crossing fans were happy because we got both last year in the September Direct. Remember that one? It was good. But speaking of Smash, that brings me to the next thing that leads me to believe that this E3 will be better than the previous ones. In the wake of E3 2018, I believe that even Smash fans were a little disappointed that the show was so off balance in terms of its presentation. The 45-minute Direct included 25 minutes of Smash Bros. Details, much of which was perfect for a Smash Direct or Treehouse segment, but didn't accommodate the general audience very well. But based on Nintendo's last two Directs, I believe they've finally established that they've learned good pacing. In September 2018, the Direct opened with Luigi's Mansion 3, a brand new game reveal, and closed with Animal Crossing, also a brand new game. The Direct even included New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, but Nintendo was aware enough that it was not a heavy hitter for the Direct audience, so they placed it pleasantly in the middle. There were no games that were hung on for so long that they outstayed their welcome. It was packed with new information, reveals, and kept moving. Similarly, in February of this year, the Direct opened with a reveal for Super Mario Maker 2 and closed out with a reveal for Link's Awakening, and only Fire Emblem felt like it lasted a bit too long for non-fans. I personally enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to that game. But yeah, even the Nindies Direct in March opened with Cuphead and closed with Cadence of Hyrule. Nintendo seems like they're on top of it in this respect. It's definitely possible that they hang out on Animal Crossing for 200 years, and some people love it and other people just check out. But I think this year they've got it under control. Also, we should probably expect a couple shadow drops because they help keep things lively. As far as pacing goes, I think Nintendo's finally found their wheelhouse. But speaking of houses, the last piece of the puzzle is E3 is not over just when the Direct finishes, it actually has just started. As soon as the Direct ends, the next best thing starts up, which is 3 days of Nintendo Treehouse. And once again, this is where we can compare this year to last. Last year, the Treehouse felt like 1/3 Smash, 1/3 Pokemon Let's Go, and then just a little bit of everything else. And although I was excited to see details and gameplay about those, they were a bit more of a known quantity and made the Treehouse just a little less exciting to watch. But remember earlier when I talked about all the first-party developed or published games that are coming to Switch? Well, this is what makes that even more exciting. Over the days following the Direct, we'll likely see gameplay of Animal Crossing, Link's Awakening, Luigi's Mansion, Pokemon Sword and Shield, and so on. And even these sections are planned out so that we will learn new information and get to experience new parts of the games and worlds along with the Treehouse employees. Sometimes just seeing 2 minutes of Animal Crossing isn't enough, so this is where you get to see it in action. I almost can't explain just how fun the Treehouses can be to watch, especially if it's a game that you really care about or one that you think that you'd enjoy. I personally remember really enjoying watching all the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 stuff 2 years ago in the Treehouses. That's what got me into the game. Honestly, the trailers were cool and all, but watching the actual Treehouse stuff and then playing it, that's where I was like, yes, I'm going to play this game. As a note, also we saw in the 2017 Treehouse, they sometimes announce stuff in these. They announced Metroid Prime Samus Returns for the 3DS in the Treehouse, so it's not entirely impossible that they just do something like that again. If you haven't watched Treehouse before, maybe it's not for you, but I'd say give it a shot because it really helps expand all the fun of E3 into more than just the one day of the Direct. So with all those puzzle pieces just fitting together all nice and snug and tight, I think this is gonna be a great E3. I'm really excited for it. I think a lot of things, I've been noticing this for a while, that we're kind of just leaning up towards something that's gonna be really fun and cool. But that's what I think. What do you think? What's the game that you're most excited about seeing in the E3 Direct for Nintendo that we already know about, or one that you really hope shows up that we don't know just yet? Be sure to comment that and more down below in the comment section, and like the video if you could. That would be great. It's just a click of a button. It's really easy. You should do it sometime. It's fun. And also subscribe to fanatixfour for more videos like this every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And we'll take some of those comments that you posted down there and we'll talk about them on our podcast directly to you, like I mentioned earlier in the video. I talked about it already. You should already know by now. Come on, get it together. Links for that in the description as well. That's it for me. I'm gonna leave now. Hasta la pasta.